Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are zeroing in on one of the most persistent, just universal frustrations in our relationships. I mean, that feeling of being misunderstood, we've all been there, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That moment you look at someone you really, really care about, a partner, a friend, and you just think, why don't you get me? Why can't you see what I need right now?
And we get so frustrated. They miss our mood. They misunderstand why we reacted a certain way.
Exactly. Or they fail to deliver what we needed in that moment. But here's the thing we're exploring in this deep dive, and it's drawn straight from the sources we looked at. Sometimes that frustration, it isn't actually about them missing the mark. It's about the fact that we haven't given them a clear target. We don't really get ourselves yet.
And that right there is where the material just shifts the entire paradigm. It's fascinating. We tend to treat being understood like it should be, I don't know, magic.
Telepathy.
Right, telepathy. Like closeness automatically grants someone the ability to read your mind. But understanding isn't magic. It's built on clear, consistent communication. And if you look at the central argument the sources make, it becomes, incredibly clear. It is just impossible to communicate what you need if you don't actually know what those things are yourself.
So you're asking them to be a map maker.
You are. You're asking them to be an expert cartographer of an internal landscape you haven't even bothered to map out yet.
Okay, let's unpack that. Mapping our internal landscape. Because that feels like the real leverage point here. We have to move away from hoping someone will just, magically decode what's happening inside us.
It's exhausting.
It is, for everyone involved. And it's fundamentally unfair. But when you stop putting that burden on others and start taking responsibility for defining it yourself, the whole dynamic changes.
It really does. The sources are so clear that the benefits of this self-awareness are immediate. And they're not just for you, they're for the people around you. When you truly understand yourself, when you kind of have your own operating manual, three big things happen. The first one is you get so much better at explaining your feelings. Your internal life stops being this abstract, confusing mess.
Like a dense fog or something?
Exactly, a fog. And it starts becoming these concrete, definable statements. Instead of just storming off saying, I'm just upset, you can say, I feel disrespected because I wasn't consulted and I need an hour to process.
That clarity is so powerful. It replaces that reactive emotion with something constructive.
Precisely. And the second benefit, you get much better at setting boundaries. It's easier.
Okay.
Knowing yourself means you know your non-negotiables. You're not guessing where your capacity ends anymore. You know exactly where your needs begin, so you can communicate those limits calmly instead of waiting until you snap.
And the third one, which feels like the key to, I don't know, relational peace.
It is. You stop expecting people to read your mind. You just take responsibility for your own communication, which instantly reduces this huge source of anxiety and strain.
No more testing their love by seeing if they can magically guess what you want for dinner.
Right. And this brings us to that really beautiful insight from the sources, the one that kind of makes perfect sense when you think about it. Self-understanding isn't some selfish act of navel-gazing. It's described as one of the kindest things you can do for everyone around you. By learning your own language, you're making yourself legible, understandable.
And easier to love correctly.
Exactly.
I think that perspective is so important, especially for anyone who grew up thinking that focusing on your own needs was, inherently selfish. This frames it as an act of consideration.
It's a huge reframe.
If I know what I need, I can ask for it, which makes it easier for you to give it, and everybody wins. It just reduces the energy cost of the relationship for everyone. So if we accept that, the next question, especially for the listener who's looking for concrete application is, okay, how do I know if I still have work to do? What does this disconnect actually look like day to day? And we found 5 specific signals, or maybe aha moments, that suggest a lack of self-understanding might be at play.
Let's call it the diagnostic check, because often we misinterpret these signals as external problems, blaming the job or the relationship.
When they're really internal communication failures.
Right. The first symptom is the one we touched on, getting intensely upset but being totally unable to explain why. You feel that explosion of emotion, but you just have zero language to back it up. And the danger there, as the sources note, is that the anger or sadness just festers. Without a name, you can't solve it.
But hold on, isn't being upset and not knowing why just part of being human sometimes? How do you tell the difference between normal emotional complexity and a real lack of self-understanding?
That's a great question, a crucial one. Normal complexity is feeling things deeply, but still being able to say, look, I know I'm tired and traffic was awful and it's all just blending together. A lack of self-understanding is when the emotion feels completely divorced from context, like it came from nowhere. And if someone asks, what's wrong? You just give them a blank stare.
That's a really helpful distinction. Okay, what's the second sign?
The second is that classic people-pleasing moment, saying yes out loud.
While your entire body is screaming no.
Your whole chest,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
You override your own truth because you're afraid of disappointing someone. And the sources point out this is where resentment starts to build, not even at the other person, but at yourself for abandoning your own needs.
That self-betrayal is just so draining.
It absolutely is. Which leads to symptom 3, feeling overwhelmed but having no idea what single thing actually triggered it. You just feel scattered, anxious, stuck,
Paralyzed.
total paralysis. And because you can't name the trigger, your brain starts to treat everything as a potential threat and your anxiety just spikes.
It's like all your internal alarms are blaring at once, but you don't know which window was actually broken.
Perfect analogy. And symptom 4 is depending heavily on external validation to feel okay. Your self-worth is constantly outsourced to other people's feedback, their praise, their approval.
So the minute that supply dries up, you crash.
You crash. The sources really emphasize that this makes you super susceptible to burnout because you're always shaping yourself to get that external hit. Your peace of mind is never actually internal.
It's always conditional.
Always. And the 5th and final sign is feeling lost or disconnected from yourself, like you're just watching your own life happen instead of living it.
A bit of dissociation.
Yeah, that sense that your actions don't feel authentic or you feel numb. But if you relate to any of these, and this is so important, the sources say this is not a personal failing. Most of us were never taught how to do this. We're all learning.
Okay, so that's the diagnostic check. It's about becoming an active participant in our own lives, not a passive observer of our emotions. So let's get to the hopeful part, the action plan. How do we actually start this journey? This isn't about a weekend retreat, right? It's about small, consistent things.
Exactly. The goal is to stop reacting blindly and start noticing mindfully. And we have 5 very practical actions. The first is maybe the most foundational. Start noticing your emotional triggers. Think of them like emotional tripwires.
How do you do that in the moment? They often feel so instantaneous.
They do, but they are rarely random. The question you have to start asking yourself every single time you feel a big emotional shift is this: what happened right before I felt this way? It might be a tiny interaction, a look someone gave you, a tone of voice. You'd be amazed how often one small moment holds a huge message about your needs or your past wounds. Just write it down.
So you're playing detective, tracking the cause, not just living with the effect.
Okay.
What's step 2?
Step 2 is so simple, but so overlooked. Ask yourself, what do I need right now? And then actually listen for the answer. The sources say we're so focused on external demands, we just lose touch with our own basic needs. It might be silence, support, space, rest.
But what if you ask and all you get back is like static? Or the need feels way too big, like I need a whole new life.
That's where the structure is key. Ask, listen, respond. If the answer is static, maybe the need is, I need 5 minutes of quiet to figure out what I need. If it's too big, break it down. I can't get a new life right now, but I need 10 minutes of reassurance that I'm on the right path. You just have to acknowledge it.
Ask, listen, respond.
I like that. It makes self-care a real dialogue. What about for those feelings that are just too messy to articulate?
That's step 3.
Right.
Write it down or make a voice note. The key is just externalizing it. It doesn't need to be a masterpiece. The whole point is to give your feelings a place to exist outside the pressure cooker of your own mind.
Ah, so you get some distance. You get distance. And they immediately become less overwhelming because you're looking at the emotion instead of being in it. It's a way to process chaos into clarity.
That's a great distinction. Separating yourself from the feeling just enough to see it clearly.
Exactly. The 4th action is about a resource we ignore all the time: your body. You have to learn to listen to your body. It speaks way before your conscious mind does.
That tightness in your chest.
The tightness in your chest, the tension in your jaw, that knot in your stomach. These are not random. They are communication. They are physical signals that something needs your attention.
So if my stomach is in knots, the question should be, what is happening right now that my body is rejecting?
Precisely. You treat it like a message, not an annoyance. Your body is telling you, we feel unsafe here, or we are overwhelmed.
Okay, what's the final step in learning this language of you?
The 5th action is to notice your patterns. Patterns are your most consistent teachers, whether they're helpful or not. Do you always shut down in a conflict? Do you avoid confrontation and then feel resentful later? Do you overthink everything? Identifying these loops is critical because that pattern is a strategy you develop to protect a core need or fear.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure, if you always shut down during conflict, the pattern might reveal that your core need is for safety. Once you can name that, I need to feel safe, you can consciously choose a healthier way to find safety instead of just defaulting to the shutdown.
And this is where it all comes together, the relational payoff. This isn't just about feeling better alone in a room. It's about solving the problem we started with, feeling misunderstood. So how does this inner work actually change our relationships?
The change is dramatic, it's huge. When
Yeah.
you've done this work, the way you interact just fundamentally changes. The sources list 4 key transformations. First, you become way easier to communicate with.
Because you're clear. It reduces all that guesswork.
All of it. Second, you are clearer about your boundaries. And paradoxically, that makes people feel safer around you because they know where the lines are. It builds trust.
What about when things get tense? I mean, conflict happens.
Right. Third, you become much calmer in conflict. Because you understand your triggers, you can manage your reaction instead of being consumed by it. You can say, I hear you, but I'm getting overwhelmed. I need 15 minutes to cool down so I can respond, not just react.
Hmm.
And fourth, and this is maybe the most important one, you feel less resentful when other people don't respond perfectly. Because your primary sense of validation isn't coming only from them anymore, you have your own internal stability.
So this all boils down to that core insight. Understanding yourself helps others understand how to love you better.
Yeah.
You're handing them the instruction manual.
You are. For your heart, your needs, your limits, you're defining the terms of engagement.
So we've covered the why, the signs, and the how. As we close out this deep dive, let's just circle back to the journey itself. The source material has this beautiful final reflection on it. Self-understanding is not a one-day task. It is a lifelong relationship with yourself.
And that means allowing for nonlinear growth. Just like in any deep relationship, some days you'll feel so connected, so aware of who you are, and other days you will feel lost.
Like you've gone backwards.
Like you've regressed 3 steps,
Mhm.
and the sources are so adamant that this is okay, it's normal. Healing and awareness, they move in spirals, not straight lines.
Be patient with the process. That feels like the ultimate takeaway. You're learning a whole new language, the language of you.
Yeah.
And it just requires grace and time.
It really does. And maybe the thought to leave with is to consider the depth of self-patience that this really requires. Because in the end, you deserve to be understood, especially by yourself. Keep practicing that.